My name is Jolie Nyamarembo. I work for Baker Ripley. I'm the volunteer engagement specialist. My title has changed recently, so I need to remember that. And I've been with Baker Ripley for about a year and a half now.
My name is Sandra Moreno. I'm the volunteer manager for Baker Ripley Neighborhood Tax Centers. I've been with the agency for 2 years, a little bit over 2 years, and I deal with the tax center program.
My name is Samantha Caceres. I am the volunteer coordinator intern for the summer. I started back in March. My primary responsibility is coordinating the food fairs that we have been doing since COVID.
So Baker Ripley's mission is to bring resources, education, and connections to emerging communities, and we do that by all of our various programs. Last I remember, we have over 60 different programs, and it starts from teeny tiny babies with early childhood education all the way to senior services, and we also serve seniors with dementia as well, and then services in between that, like Sandra, with our tax centers, our immigration services, our utility assistance, our CAP, our weatherization programs, programs like that offer. It's a holistic approach to all of our programs.
So in regards with the tax centers, we get to see a lot of different communities because we have 12 different tax centers around the area of Houston. So we all take all kinds of communities. We serve families and individuals who make under 58,000. So we get to see a variety of students, of families. So that's a little bit about the tax centers that we serve. I don't know, Jolie.
I would say we don't really serve a specific population because we do have a range of services, but I would say the population that we probably don't serve are like animals. That's that. Everything else we do it. We have over 60 different services. Again, we start from teeny tiny babies with early Head Start, all the way to seniors, and the services in between that, like with our tax center, our immigration services, our utility assistance. Feel free to check me if I'm forgetting all the other services that we do at Baker Ripley. We have workforce solution. We also have a dementia day center as well, and then we have about 17 different senior centers that serve our seniors, and we do have homebound services for seniors who are homebound and cannot come to any of our locations physically. I think I hit all of the programs. Again, Amanda and Sandra, please let me know if I'm forgetting anything.
We serve a lot of different communities, so any type of, we're in basically every neighborhood of Houston, of the area of Houston, and even the greater area of Houston. So we get to see anyone. We don't, we served anyone and any individual family as long as they make under $58,000 a year. We can do their taxes. Within the tax centers, tax season, of course, is our biggest. It's our heaviest season. Because we do have our year-round center, but during tax season, we get hundreds of clients every week. We have, like I said, 12 tax centers around the full area of Houston. So we do see, we serve over 30,000 neighbors annually. So we see quite a lot.
And then our overall agency numbers, we do serve 500,000 children, families, and seniors a year with all of our other programs. So because we are such a large agency and we do so much, volunteers can pretty much volunteer with our programs. Some programs like Workforce Solutions, they don't utilize volunteers, but for example, our tax centers use volunteers, our immigration services. So as an immigration volunteer, you would be assisting someone fill out their citizenship application, of course, with the help of our lawyers on site as well. And then with our food distribution, prior to COVID, they were, I think, once a month at each community center. But now because of COVID, we do them at least maybe 3 times a week now. So volunteers can, they have the luxury of picking and choosing what it is that they want to do. If you want to read a book to children, you can do that. If you want to play bingo with seniors, you can do that. We've had corporations come out and teach our seniors how to use tablets. So, we have the luxury of being creative with our volunteer services, because we do so much, and we serve basically, again, from teeny tiny babies all the way to seniors. So each population, whatever kind of your passions are, you can almost have a volunteer opportunity connected to that population.
With the tax centers, our services allow low-income families to avoid unethical tax preparers, fees and high interest on refund advance loans. For low-income families, their refund represents a large amount of money they get in one installment at once. And so many of our families, it can represent up to 30% of their annual income. So our volunteers really, they help with our impact and how many families we can serve. And so by preparing taxes, they're giving the families a chance to build a better financial future for their families and for themselves. And then with everything going on during this time, that refund is they really need that refund. So our volunteers during this tax season especially, they really helped us support those families. So the more volunteers we have, the more families we are able to serve.
We've had to shift gears and kind of change a lot of our volunteer opportunities. A few that I know that we offer are senior wellness calls, because again, our seniors, because of COVID, are unable to come physically to our centers, but they still need that conversation. They still need that, that communication with, with the outside world. And because of staff, we don't have the capacity to call all of our seniors, because we do have over 17. We have 17 senior centers. You can imagine how many seniors we serve. So that's something that volunteers can do virtually. So it's a wellness call, just making sure, the senior's mental health is okay. It's not about, okay, well, I need to go physically see the senior and then fix all of their needs. That's not, it's just making sure it's like a companion call, and whatever kind of needs or issue arises, we as an agency cover that. That's not the responsibility of the volunteer. And then another virtual opportunity that we have is with census. It is election, it is election time for us, so we are gearing up for that. So volunteers can either call people who are not registered to vote to get them registered to vote, or just to remind them, if you haven't filled out your census, it's important. So here's a follow-up call for you to make sure, you have the necessary information. And we do that at our food distributions as well. And another virtual opportunity that we have, it's not technically virtual, but you can, if you can sew, we do have face masks for people to come pick them up and then take them home to sew them. If you have a sewing machine, or if you're just passionate about masks, you can assist with that as well. Amanda, am I forgetting any other virtual opportunities that we offer? So that's about it for right now. But I think as the year goes on, and COVID is still rampant in our community, I think we will offer more virtual opportunities. I know for sure immigration, they're shifting gears towards virtual opportunities as well. What that looks like for volunteers, that's unclear, because it's difficult. It's a legal document, so that's not something that can be done virtually. But I could say as the year goes on, we'll add more virtual opportunities to our website. I just think for me, it's almost ingrained or engraved in me. I have always been one to volunteer. I've always been one to give back. And in college, as a college student, I don't have money to give, but I have time. So I think that's kind of what got me involved in community service and giving back. And I think it was a natural pull for me to come to a nonprofit and then work as a volunteer coordinator, because I've seen what it's like to be a volunteer, and the issues of communication. Well, you didn't tell me this, or this information was missing, but now I get to be on the opposite end and, over communicate and over explain myself. So I think this is why I do the work. And our communities, in Houston and in the state, people need to show up, so it's like, as a volunteer, you are showing up, you're letting people know that we haven't forgotten about you, you're important, and I'm not getting paid to do this, but I will still show up for you. For
me, I come from a very I'm part of the one of the community that we serve. So for me, giving back was something that I could help contribute to my community and those around me. And in regards to my position, I love working with volunteers because they are so driven and want to give back, and just seeing how much they work for others is something that is very beautiful to see. And the work that the amount of hours they put, our tax center volunteers are sometimes there every single day, 8 hours a week. They're there because they know they're making a difference. And so to be able to work with people like that really helps drive me, and definitely makes working for the community worthwhile.
For me, it's I get to care about people who care about giving back to their community, which is just sounds very interesting, but it's a lot of fun because, like as Sandra was saying, like a lot of the volunteers, I see them every single week. I'm learning their routines, and I get to talk to them about the community. And most of the time, they live in that community and they just love it so much, and they deeply care for it. So I basically just get to care about people and make a difference in other people who are going to be able to care and make a difference in other people's lives. So it just becomes this nice little ripple effect of difference and change being made.
Because we're such a large agency, I think the value of a volunteer is like $24 per hour. And if we're saying we have a total of maybe 200,000 hours for volunteers, you can only imagine how much money that's saving Baker Ripley. So I don't think Baker Ripley could do the work that we do without the volunteers. Certain programs would be able to flourish and be supported without volunteers, but for majority of our programs, they are ran by volunteers. Volunteers, are the bread and butter of the program. So monetary value, I would say you can't put a price on a volunteer because we wouldn't be able to serve the community without our volunteers.
Our tax center, our tax centers would not be able to run with our volunteers. We have staff at our centers, but to see the amount of people that we see and to do the taxes for that amount of people, because we serve over 30,000 people every year, we cannot do that without the volunteers. And these are volunteers that not only are there every week, they're there twice a week, they're giving sometimes a whole day. So you can't really put a price on something like that. And there are also volunteers that if I need a volunteer at one tax center from like at 20 minutes, we have those volunteers. And so they're so dedicated. And so you can't really put the monetary value of that to a person that is very passionate about the work that they do. For sure. For the tax centers, I mean, our volunteers are learning a new skill. They're learning how to make taxes. So it's something that they can learn for themselves and for their family, and for their friends. So once they learn to do taxes, they get to not only learn how the IRS works and how that process is, because I feel like there's a lot of taboo behind the IRS and your taxes, and it's something that's like, oh my God, I can never do taxes. That's so confusing. We hear that a lot with our volunteers, but it's something that once they take their training, they're ready to go, and it's a great skill to have. And they also get to experience customer service because they're one-on-one with the client. So they also get to hear their stories, how to talk to people. So it's some skills that they will be getting.
In my experience with the food fairs, volunteering is also a great networking experience. And you can honestly probably talk to a few staff members. I've already met a few that they got their positions at Baker Ripley because they were volunteers. And a few of the staff members even, like once they get to know volunteers, like there's these few boys at the food fairs that show up, that staff is just waiting to give them an internship the minute those boys can take an internship. So it's also a really great networking opportunity for either like internships or job positions, or like I've even met I go to U of H main campus, I've met fellow graduate students I've met just other students, I've met some professors and stuff like that. So I'm getting to know my community even more. And that's a great side of it.
For the tax centers, we are open to any and all sort of majors or programs that they're coming from, because anybody can really prepare taxes just once they get trained. However, we typically cater, or we get a lot of students, typically from finance or accounting or the business school. They're typically the ones that come to us interested in doing this, and we partner with different universities to give them some sort of credit with the professor sometimes.
And I would just say all majors, because there is a lot of work to be done at Baker Ripley. So we kind of cater to most people. If you want to, if you're more a structured person, tax centers, it's a perfect place for you. If you're a numbers person, tax centers. If you're more, I just want to do good work and feel good, food distributions, because it's very interactive. Prior to COVID, it was very interactive, but now, it's very structured for safety purposes. But you kind of get to meet and talk to the people that we serve. So I think as long as you are passionate about volunteering, there's a great fit for you at Baker Ripley. It doesn't really depend on your major, unless you're trying to add this to your resume, or it's more of a professional career building for you. Then tax centers would be a great opportunity, or immigration would be, kind of what the volunteer opportunity you would be most interested in.
So with the tax centers, it would be, again, learning tax preparation, learning how taxes work, how to prepare taxes not only for themselves, but for their family and friends, and for their communities. And as well, they're also getting customer service skills, because they get to speak one-on-one with the client. They, not only are they just preparing taxes, but they also get to hear what are they going to do with the refund, what are they going to do with. You get to hear a lot of different stories and personalities, so it definitely helps with that. And it also makes it very worthwhile, because you hear how the impact of you preparing the taxes for free from someone that typically goes and does the preparation with someone that they have to pay maybe half of the refund, right? So it definitely brings in those skills for them.
And I think no matter where you volunteer at Baker Ripley, because we serve such diverse populations, like she said, customer service skills, it teaches you how to talk to different people from different backgrounds. It teaches you how to kind of, I don't know, with our tax centers, definitely Gulfton, that's a very diverse location. So you don't know who's walking into the door. You don't know what that person's life story is. You don't know what their situation is. And as you're preparing their taxes, or as you're assisting them filling out their immigration application, you're hearing their story. They're telling you, I've been here, I've been there. This is, so it's like, it's almost teaching you how to navigate, the world, because in your workplace, not everyone has the same, background, not everyone has the same story. So I think customer service would be the biggest skill that you would gain volunteering at Baker Ripley.
Right now, all we have going on volunteer-wise is the COVID-19 food fairs. If you cannot volunteer, which many people can't, it is a scary time, share our link, share the opportunity. We have videos, we have photos, we have everything. Just share and get the word out there, because you never know who is able to volunteer and who's interested in volunteering. So for right now, for the food distribution, it's just share the opportunity with everyone and anyone you can possibly think of.
And I would also add, if you can't physically volunteer for whatever reason, like Amanda said, it is a very scary time. I would say donate as well. People have donated, breakfast for our volunteers at our food fair, just supporting the work that volunteers do. It also assists with, the overall mission of Baker Ripley. You might not physically physically be able to make it to our food fair. But if you donate breakfast, if you share with your friends, and one person volunteers because of you, that is still, you're still assisting in the mission. So that helps just as much.
And also sharing the services that the agency serves, and the amount of communities, because every time for tax season, we will get clients that are new clients, and they keep saying, oh, I never knew this was here. I didn't know I could get my taxes for free, or I could get food for free, or I could do this and this and this. So also sharing what our services do for the community will definitely help the agency and our volunteers as well.
So I can say the general, and then Sandra can say tax center specific. So with the general volunteer, you go to our website, volunteer@bakerripley.org. You create an account, and of course it's like a waiver release, so we can take pictures of you, of course. And then previous to COVID, you would then attend a physical orientation, and usually it would be me, Sandra, or someone else leading the orientation, just going over the mission, the vision, policies and procedures for volunteers. But because this is the time of COVID, we're now changing it to be virtual, but we're still working on our virtual volunteer orientation. So then after you've attended orientation, we run your background check. Because of the work that we do, we want to make sure that you're the right person to do the job. Immigration, that's very sensitive information. Tax center, that's very sensitive information. So we're very careful with the types of volunteers, but most people have a clean background. You're able to volunteer with us. So once you've been cleared as a volunteer, you then go back into the system and then sign up for whichever volunteer opportunity that you're interested in. And then we connect you to the center or the volunteer manager for the program that you're interested in.
So for the tax centers, you would have to go first, like Jolie said, through the general clearance, so that the orientation, signing up, the background check, and then you have an extra step, and you can do this at any order. You do not have to complete first the orientation, but you can whatever you want. But they would need to complete our tax training that we are currently working on to take virtually, because it would used to be a in-person training. So once that's set up, we will let you know. But take the training and then get IRS certified. So all of our volunteers are IRS certified. So they would have to take the test. We want our volunteers to get advanced certified, so that way they can serve as many communities and as many people as possible. But they have they get to choose if they want to do basic or advanced. After that, I will run the background check typically, and then the volunteer will sign a form, send it to me, and then I will clear them to start volunteering. And that's typically where they will go sign up for a shift and then show up to volunteer.
I would say this, because of COVID, again, a lot of our opportunities have stopped, but a big task or a big need in our community is our food distributions, and I think that's going to be the largest need that we're going to have until COVID is over, because a lot of our programs, people physically cannot come to our community centers anymore, but with our food distributions, we do practice social distancing. There's hand sanitizer, there's gloves. Safety is very important to us, and we are trying to serve as many people as possible, so we need volunteers to come out. So I would say, if that is the number one ask, I would say we need volunteers at our food distributions, and I think they're going to run up until the end of the year, of course, because COVID is not going anywhere. So we aren't either with our food distributions. So that is our greatest need right now.
To volunteer for the neighborhood tax centers, it can sometimes be a little overwhelming, because you think taxes, you don't have to have any sort of background in taxes or accounting or anything. You just would have to take the training. So that way they'll teach you how to fill out the forms, but it is not as overwhelming as it seems. It could be anyone. We have teachers, we have every sort of background in the middle, so don't be afraid to try something new. and it's not as overwhelming as it sounds. And we're taking every precaution at our tax centers to ensure that our volunteers and our clients are being safe as well.